This is a fake Taylormade sim driver. That over there is a real, genuine Taylormade sim driver. Let's see the difference, shall we? Today is the day, boys and girls. Fake sim driver versus a genuine sim driver. So guys, before we get into the box behind me and get the genuine sim driver out, which I've bought off eBay for quite a bit, well, I hope it's genuine because I did pay quite a bit of money for it, and sorry it's taken so long to get this video out, as I have had this driver for a while. For you guys that didn't know, bit of backstory, Chris was very excited to pick up this driver for £120, and in the flurry of picking up on Facebook Marketplace, didn't actually check it then and there. It was only when he got home, sent the photos to myself, we discovered it wasn't real. And shout out to Rick, because obviously the whole inspiration of this video and the reason that I got in touch with Chris to buy this off him is because he did a comparison between a genuine Taylormade driver and the fake one, and the fake one wasn't even worth taking the head cover off to actually hit the golf ball. But this whole video is a bit of a silver lining. We've given Chris the £120 that he spent on this fake one, because obviously he didn't want to go and do what the gentleman, the very kind gentleman, did to him, so he isn't out of pocket, and now we have a fake sim driver to do another comparison with a genuine one. Because let's be honest, we all know this isn't going to perform anywhere near as good as that. But if a complete beginner that started this game picked up one of these, would they actually be able to tell the difference? Would it blow up after a few holes? Because let's be honest, I'm going to hit this thing hard. I want to test it. We're going to swap the heads over, we're going to swap the shafts over, head to head. And now is the time that there's probably more counterfeit stuff, especially with how expensive golf clubs are in the first place, people trying to scam people, you name it. Would you be able to tell? And if you did want to tell, what should you look out for? So shout out to Rick for obviously giving me inspiration for this video. Shout out to Chris for obviously sending the fake driver to myself and giving us the opportunity to actually make this video. And with that all being said, I think we should unbox my new toy. Right, unboxed, unraveled, out, giving it the quick once over to make sure that I didn't have two counterfeit golf clubs. But can you tell which one's which? And then again, without the head covers, from a first glance, could you tell which one is which? Up close, don't get me wrong, very obvious to tell, but I'll be interested from this angle, would many of you say the left one's a fake one, or would a lot of you say the one on the right's fake? However, from the top of the driver, it's quite obvious, or I'd like to think it's quite obvious, which one is the real one and which one is the counterfeit. I.e., the one on the left actually has carbon on the ground to give the technological lightweight advancements that you would be paying £400 for brand new. The one on the right essentially has a sticker that someone has printed and slapped on whatever material it's been made out of. Then we do the face on test, and this is the one that I realized, especially after watching Rick's video, is the easiest way to tell not only Taylormade clubs but any golf club that is fake. Reason being is that most of the technology kind of side, sliding weights, ports, airports, you name it, whatever it might be, down the bottom on the left hand side here, the face ports of the fake one essentially are just scraped into the face itself, whereas you can see on the genuine Taylormade driver actually drilled into the face. Now, going to the bottom of the driver, I do think most manufacturers that make these counterfeit goods spend most of the time doing this bit opposed to the rest of it, because I think this is the most recognizable bit of a driver and something that you would look at in pictures when you're buying it, X, Y, and Z, and go, that does look like the genuine thing. And to be honest, side by side, again, very good. But the finer details is the key. Again, lettering alone, I don't think you would be able to tell these apart, especially not on photos, especially on Facebook, eBay, Gumtree, all those kind of places. And even the stickers, as you can see there up close, I mean, you can almost see them peeling off from the sides, like there, for example. From a darkly lit photo, you're not going to be able to tell the difference, or know that it's supposed to be a bit duller, not necessarily as glossy, not necessarily as shiny, not necessarily have the dimples as much as they do on the side here. But the biggest thing that I noticed when Chris sent the photos through to me is that this bit here isn't blue. That was the first telltale sign and just seemed off to me from the get-go. Another thing to note, and to back up the technology kind of side of things, is that majority of weights and everything else on a golf club that is counterfeit will just be painted on and just made to look like there is a weight there, opposed to that actually looks like it's adding weight to the back of the head. Now, one thing that I didn't know, which I've actually just realized today, is I always thought these keys could fit into the back of these, whereas actually even on the fake and the real, they don't. And that's probably because, well, you don't ever need to take that off. But I always thought it did, and I always thought that if your key didn't actually fit in the back here and you couldn't actually get the attachment off, I thought it was counterfeit. But actually on both, I can't get either off. And then lastly is down to the shafts. Now this is quite an old tensile. I'll show you some pictures of what this one was trying to replicate. And as you can see here, I've got 2 tensile shafts. I always thought this color was a bit off, and you can see what color the tensile blue actually is. And again, I know obviously this is an older one, but there's certain things that they do keep quite standard. So just to show you guys what I actually bought, 9 degree Sim Max with a Ventus stiff flex shaft, just to compare. Now obviously I've got a regular flex tensile in the fake one, but is that really a tensile, and is that really regular? We have no idea what that is actually producing at impact. But £210 including postage. I did want to find a 9 degree Sim Max with a tensile blue original shaft, but it just took too long, and I wanted to send the money to Chris, and obviously I wanted to make this video. So this will do stock head, stock shaft. Let's see what it does. There's a very good reason why we were taking 2 shots with each club there, just so that I had a decent chance of actually hitting a good one with both. One left with the Taylormade sim, one right with the fake sim, but I did catch hold of 2. And can I tell you, the fake one, which we're looking at now, so spinny, so high. I would wonder if that's visible on the shot tracer, but it climbed. And if anything, the hole here down on the parts, this is pumping down wind, so actually this is more in its favor. The normal, more airtime the better, but you can see just through the paces how far behind. Now this isn't exact science, obviously we haven't got the GC Quad, Trackman, you name it, out here measuring club head speed and numbers. Now the next hole is straight into the teeth of the wind, which is going to be very interesting because spin is definitely going to be killer. So we're not going to swap over the shafts and heads just yet. We're going to hit one more shot with both into the breeze, and then let's see what the difference is. Sorry guys, I filmed all shot tracers on my phone and someone rang me. I didn't have it on airplane mode. So the second shot, I took 2 shots with the fake driver because I absolutely nutted the real one, and I blocked heavily this first shot with the fake driver. So it made sense to obviously reload, try and catch one down the middle, which I did. But sadly, we haven't got that footage, so I do apologise about that. But you will see the distance difference right now. Right, we are taking the Sim original, I don't know what I'm calling it, original, the non-counterfeit one down the middle. That's as good as I can hit it. Now it's still a high launching head with a stiff flex shaft, probably not suited too much for my swing, so it still went quite high. However, and blocked heavily out to the right, the first one, it's just very difficult to control. Like, that isn't a regular flex shaft. I'm very excited to obviously swap the heads over in a minute and see if that makes a difference. Can I control the genuine head on the counterfeit shaft and vice versa? But you can see the pace. This thing essentially just ascended with snow on it, even though we're midsummer. I mean, that is a good almost 35 yards, something like that, behind it, and the spin just absolutely killed it. Now, that could be different for someone that can't get the ball off the ground. And again, no rattling just yet. Does sound tinny, does sound hollow. Undecided if a genuine beginner got a hold of this, would they actually notice? Because they haven't got a drive to necessarily compare it to. But I mean, the numbers, well, it's not even numbers, but I mean, the facts are just there, aren't they? Right, still both in one piece, which is good because the test can continue, even though the adaptable fittings look different just from the screw perspective. But we shall see again if this would be feasible for someone else to do. Don't particularly want to break the new driver shaft, but in the name of content, right, it's on. See if I can put the original genuine head again. Let's put them both to standard loft, which is a bit laughable because we don't actually know what loft that other driver is or whether these adapters actually work. And lo and behold, I think this is going to go on as well. Right, swapped over. And it's the next day. My camera battery died. Don't worry, I got all the footage on my iPhone and the results are astounding. One of them, I literally couldn't believe it, but kind of sums up this video, as the majority of people, when they think about fake counterfeit clubs and genuine clubs, is ball speed and distance. And yes, don't get me wrong, that is a part, but that wasn't the big thing that I got from all of this. Now I actually used 2 balls. I wanted to use a Pro V1X, but also wanted to use more of an affordable ball, so I used a Callaway Super Soft as well, because the Pro V1X is supposed to be quite a low spinning ball, and that thing kept climbing, so I was very interested to see what a Super Soft would do off the fake driver's face as well. So I decided to use the fake head on the Ventus shaft first, and lo and behold, the first shot I hit, massive block out to the right, which has been my bad shot with this club the entire time. And I kind of put it down to a combination of the shaft and head. But what I've actually realised is the tech in most of these drivers, when they put the weight at the back and the way that they weight it and the way they distribute it, is actually there to give you forgiveness. And it's very difficult from year to year to separate a forgiving driver from a forgiving driver. But you put up something that is essentially just painted to look like a forgiving driver, and boy oh boy do you see the difference. So the second shot, I really had to work in all my might to get this ball back on target. I dropped it massively on the inside, closed that club face, and yes, we did get something down the middle. But if you hit this thing off center or maybe on center, the head is just so unstable. It just goes all over the place, which is the biggest shame of this whole test, because the majority of people that will get caught out by this fake driver are going to be complete beginners or people that just started the game. And if anything, this driver is making the game harder for themselves to hit it in the fairway, harder to get distance, and harder to have a consistent swing on it. So with those two pretty poor results from the fake head, it was the genuine head's turn. And when I say I caught this one, I caught it. This is with the fake tensile shaft with the genuine head, and it went as good as I could possibly hit my driver. High launching, don't get me wrong, wind's pumping down on the third that evening, and the fairways are pretty dry, and you'll be amazed with the results of how far this driver went. Right, here's the Callaway. Not that bad of a drive, but this thing is pumping down wind, and I've yet to find the good shot with the genuine head. It was straight down the middle, which for me pretty much means only one thing: you've gone a long way. I'm in kind of disbelief, as if this ball is down the crest. That is the longest drive I've ever hit in my life down this hole. Don't get me wrong, perfect conditions because it is pumping down wind, dry fairway, but needless to say, I've used many a clubs down here, many a different drivers, and if my longest drive down the third is with a counterfeit shaft and a genuine head, I don't believe it. I actually don't believe it. That is ridiculous. I've never hit a ball like that down here in my life, and I don't really know what quite to make of it, apart from you can't fake driver heads. There's reasons, R&D, the technology, and we might kind of slag it off day to day, year to year, but they've created some good technology, and if delivered at good club head speed and out the middle with decent launch, a decent spin, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Now, by no means am I saying the fake tensile blue shaft is as good as a genuine one, but what I am saying is that head was delivered at a decent club head speed, and the ball was hit out the middle of the face, and the angle of attack was optimal. A spin on the ball that came off that face was again very good, hence why the ball went as far as it did. Now, as you can see with my second shot, again I tried to go after it, and a massive snap hook. And to be fair, I could blame that down to the shaft, or I could blame that down to my swing. So boys and girls, fake versus genuine. I thought the biggest litmus test between these two was going to be the distance. And don't get me wrong, there was distance involved when it came to finding the middle of the fairway. But finding the middle of the fairway with this is extremely difficult, and I don't normally say that about drivers. I mean, there's such fine margins in the top brands and even the budget brands in golf nowadays with the technology, but this one in particular is extremely difficult for me to find the fairway, let alone a complete beginner, which is probably the biggest shame out of this whole test. Guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new. Catch you guys now.